Brad, anything in particular you want me to announce? What? It's Jerry. Gary. Where? And we are, Brad, we're meeting in here afterwards? Are we meeting in here afterwards? All right. Okay. All right, good evening. It's time for us to begin. Thank you for being here tonight. It's the last night of the House to House, Heart to Heart School of Evangelism Seminar with Rob Whitacre. So I'm going to let him start in just a second. Got just a couple of announcements to make. If you do not have an evangelism booklet, an evangelism handbook, then raise your hand. Gary will pass that out. And also, if you have not put your contact information on the clipboard that Gary has, make sure you do that tonight so that you can receive all the great material, the instructional material and videos that will help all of us individually and congregationally to reach out to the lost. So, Rob, we are really glad that you've been here today. We've learned a lot. We're motivated, we're encouraged, and we're looking forward to what you have to say to us tonight. Want to remind everyone here tonight that if you are an elder, you are one of our ministers, and if you are a leader in any of the various ministries of our evangelistic outreach program, then we will be meeting at 8 o'clock, 1 hour from now, when Rob is done talking. We will be meeting downstairs in the Compassion Card Room. So make sure that you stick around for that. Brother Rob.
It was the summer of 2020, and we had been on the road for several months. We had been going from church to church, and our anniversary was on the horizon. I looked at my wife. I said, honey, wouldn't it be nice if we could take a day or two and just relax and celebrate our anniversary. And she said, what do you have in mind? I said, well, we're supposed to be training the St. Mary's Church of Christ in St. Mary's, Georgia. And I said, it's right on the coast. I said, and I've always wanted to do a deep sea fishing trip. I said, would you mind if I scheduled a deep sea fishing trip? And I'm talking about going out into the ocean. I don't want any in bay fishing. And she said, I did that as a little girl. She said, why don't we do that as a family for our anniversary? I said, that sounds great. I said, so I called down to the preacher. We're in the midst of COVID. A lot of things are shut down. So I called over to the preacher. I said, listen, brother, I said, I'm going to be coming in a couple days early, and I'd like to go fishing. And I said, I would like to go deep sea fishing. He said, Brother Rob, he said, this is the deep sea fishing capital of the world. He said, we got some of the finest captains in the country right here. He says, normally you're a 12-month out. You're not going to get them. He said, Rob, it's COVID. He said, they have no business. He said, if you call them, I bet you they'll take you out. So he gave me the number of this captain, very hard to get, so I called him. I said, sir, my name's Rob, and my family's coming in. He said, listen, he says, I've had almost no business. He said, what day do you want me to take you out? And I told him. He said, you got it. You got the charter. And he said, be me and my first mate. And I said, well, sir, I said, what time, where do I meet you? And he gave me an address. I said, great. I said, what time do I meet you? He says, 3 o'clock. I said, sir, that doesn't give us a lot of time to fish. He said, oh, no, son, 3 in the morning. And I said, how am I going to explain this to my wife? And I said, okay. I said, all right, sir, I understand. I said, sir, I don't understand. I said, when I get out there, I said, how am I going to know it's you at 3 in the morning? He said, son, I'll be the only one there. And I said, okay, all right. So I looked at my wife. I said, no, honey, about 3 o'clock in the morning, we're going to go out here. And I slipped it past her, So in any case, we got out there about 3 o'clock in the morning. It was the captain, the first mate, had this really, really good boat, and state-of-the-art equipment. I mean, it was like coming into the space shuttle. I mean, he had stuff everywhere. Now, I was really impressed. And he's giving us a few lessons. He said, now you guys just hunker down. He said, by the way, what kind of fish do you want? I said, I want the big stuff. He said, son, it'll be a while. I said, it's all right. I've been waiting for this. So he said, just hunker down back here. And so my dad and my family, 5 of us, we hunkered down, and so we started out. We went to sleep. I mean, we're talking hours and hours and hours getting out there. And finally, the sun starts to come up on the horizon, and we come to a stop. He says, all right. And I said, well, sir, where's the bait? He says, you're going to catch it. And I said, okay. So we put our poles in, and he gets up there to his equipment, and he starts, configuring things. And all of a sudden, he said, all right, everybody get ready. He said, I'm going to count down for about 10. He says, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All of a sudden, he said, pull them up. And I'm pulling up my line. I got bait fish everywhere. I look at that captain. I said, how in the world did he know it? And so we're all taking the bait fish off our line, we're putting it in the live well. I said, this is amazing. So he's gaining my confidence. So he said, all right, everybody. He said, go ahead and hunker down. It's going to be another hour. And so I hunkered down, and, he's got all this equipment. He's watching it, and there's nothing out here. And so finally, about an hour later, he says, all right, here it is. And he pulls it back, throttles back. And he said, all right, which one of you is going to go first? I said, I'll go first. And he said, all right. He said, first mate, buckle him in. Brother, I've never been strapped in before fishing. So he puts his harness on me. He straps me in, I said, man, this is going to be great, So he said, all right, get it. And this pole is the thickest fishing pole I've ever seen. And he pulls it out there. And he said, all right, son. He said, you ready? He said, there it is. He said, about 5. He said, get ready. He said, first mate, get ready. 4. He's counting me down, I said, what's going to happen? 3, 2. And all of a sudden, my pole just went, shh. He said, son, hold the pole. He said, pull it back. So I'm pulling the pole back, and I'm holding on. He said, all right, reel and pull, reel. And I'm doing this, and I can see the fish jumping out. It's huge. I said, what is that thing? He said, son, that's a kingfish. There's a reason it's called a kingfish. And that thing's coming out. I've never seen a fish like that in my life. I said, this is all, and it took me a little while to get that. And you don't pull it into the boat, you drag it onto the back of the boat. So here it comes, and we're about to pull it onto the back of the boat. And all of a sudden, on the left corner of my eye, another fish comes out of the water. Shoot, it slices the kingfish in half. I said, what was that? He says, that's called a barracuda. There's a reason it's called a barracuda. My fish was still massive. It was huge. And I pulled it in. And brethren, by 2 o'clock that afternoon, 2 o'clock, we all had our limit. And we're heading home. That man knew his trade. He knew everything about it. He had all the modern equipment. He spared no expense. He read all the magazines. He watched the YouTube videos. This guy is the best at what he does. This guy is sought after. This is a guy that studied the material. He is passionate about what he does. He knows where the fish are. He knows what kind of equipment to use. He knows how to use the tools. He doesn't mind getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. He loves to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. This guy, he knows how to fish. I think there's some of us in the audience tonight, we're more qualified to go out there and get the catfish than we are to go out there and fish for men. We're more qualified tonight to go out there and get the big buck. And believe you me, we spare no expense. We buy the best hunting equipment money can buy. We don't just have a tree camera. We got the wireless tree camera. We watch them from our office. We see the buck come in. We got it down to a time, fine art. We know exactly what time he's going to come. We got our bait out there. The bait comes out automatically. We've got the best rifle. We got multiple rifles. We got the best ammunition. We have the best camouflage. We spare no expense. We don't mind getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning. We don't mind coming home exhausted and studying. How can I be a better hunter? We don't mind scouting it out. We spend all year doing it. Some of our men in the audience tonight would spend half as much time learning how to win souls. The Church of Christ would explode. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Just look at your toys, gentlemen, because that tells me a lot about you. Look at your time. Look at the commitment you've made. Look at the things you enjoy doing. Because I'm saying tonight, our men in this room are talented men, and God has given you everything you need to succeed. And if you put your mind to it, if you put your heart to it, if you put your energy into it, there is no stopping the East Main Church of Christ. There's no stopping the growth of this church. There's no stopping getting out there and teaching the gospel to a lost and dying world. The only thing that stops us is us. So tonight, brethren, this is about you. This is about you. It said that Winston Churchill was one of the greatest leaders in modern day history. Right before Winston Churchill took office, there was a man by the name of Chamberlain. Chamberlain was an appeaser. Hitler was marching across the fields of Europe, going into France, and things were going very poorly. The British people, the morale of the people had never been lower. And they assumed defeat. They assumed loss. Hitler was making a Swiss cheese out of the finest armies in the world. And Chamberlain's idea was, if I could just meet with Hitler and appease him, make some peace treaty with him, we'll survive. Winston Churchill wanted none of that. In fact, Winston Churchill saw the writing on the wall. If we don't stop Hitler, it's over. He's not going to stop with France. He's not going to stop with those small European countries. He's going to take all of us. We've got to stop him. And Winston Churchill knows he's got one chance at this. He's a politician, but he's more than a politician. He's going to walk into the chamber, that is the Commons of Great Britain, and he has an opportunity to change the course of the world. He's going to give what is known to be one of the greatest speeches in modern day history. Winston Churchill, in that speech, is going to say something, and this is what he said. He who fails to plan is planning to fail. My fellow countrymen, we have no plan, and we're going to lose this war. Most of our churches have no plan. We have no plan for reaching the lost. Our plan is write the check and shoot from the hip, and hopefully they will build it and they will come. I have news for you tonight that only works in the movies. It's not going to be the strategy of success for East Main or any other church. And so in order for us to succeed, we have to have a plan. Just like you have a plan for hunting, a plan for fishing, a plan for retirement, a plan for your lunch tomorrow. We've got to have a plan. And what are we going to do in order to reach the lost? Page 123 in your Evangelism Simplified Guidebook. I got 10 points, 10 things you've got to do. Some of them are very simple. They're so simple, you might ask, why did you even say it? Because we're not doing it. Because I find that these 10 things are not common. I find when I go to churches, it's rare that I find a church that has any of these things. In fact, they're batting 0 for 10. And so what we want to do is lay out what we call 10-step strategy or 10-step plan, just kind of give you a general overview. And then when I meet with the leadership tonight, we're going to talk about process. Because if you don't have a process for carrying out the plan is not very efficient. So let's go ahead and start with number one. What is the first thing a church needs to have in order to succeed? It needs to have tools. Fishermen without tools aren't very good fishermen. Hunters without tools aren't very good hunters. Carpenters without tools aren't very good carpenters. And so technicians without tools aren't good technicians. So you have to have tools. You have to have the tools in order to accomplish the task. So the very first thing you need to do is put Bibles into the hands of people. You know, we do that in India. We'll go out there and spend thousands, tens of thousands of dollars printing Bibles and hand them out. But what I'm finding in our churches is that a lot of our congregations don't have a simple thing like a Bible to give to people in their community. I'm talking for Bible studies. I'm talking a simple thing, just like a Bible that you can hand them because they don't have a Bible. It's amazing how many people today in our nation don't have Bibles. Then we need to equip our Christians with tools on how to teach the Bible, how to bring them through the Bible, like back to the Bible. Something simple, something that everybody can use, something that the average church member, you don't have to go to preaching school. You just have to be able to read. And if you can read, you can use it. Cliff Goodwin told me not long ago, he said, Rob, after you trained our congregation, he said, I'll tell you, I was surprised. He said, I was getting phone calls months after we trained the church. He said, I took the church through back to the Bible. I passed them out. We went through it Sunday morning. We took about 6 to 9 weeks. He said, it was a great study. He said, and everybody in the church had their copy. They had access to them. He said, here's what happened. I would get phone calls. And the phone calls I received were from our widow ladies. And they would call me and they say, hey, Cliff, I've been studying with my neighbor and she wants to be baptized. Can you help me? Never in my life, Rob, did I ever think that would happen. He said, we had more baptisms from our members than from me. I said, well, Cliff, that's wonderful. He says, more than wonderful. He said, Rob, I've never seen it before. What happened is he trained the church. See, when you train church members how to do something, they just might do it. If you train a church member and don't sell them short. Don't say, well, I just don't know if they, there are people right now at this congregation who will do a Bible study and you don't know it. You don't know who they are. There may be a widow, a widower, just a member coming, they're faithful, but yet they can take a simple tool like back to the Bible and they can use it. If you don't give them the tool, they'll never use it. They can take tools like, does it matter? Believe the Bible. I believe the Bible is becoming ever more important for churches. Every week, I'm getting reports of people who have become Christians and they had to start with believe the Bible. Materials for bringers. Who are the bringers? People who are bringing contact with their tools that these individuals need. We're going to equip you. We're going to equip the entire church with the tools. Materials for teachers, new converts, for the community. The number one thing you got to do is equip the church. I find that churches have no problem being equipped to have their fellowship meal. We have our coffee pots, coffee stirrers, coffee maker, coffee creamer, coffee grinds. We have coffee cups. And we have, of course, the microwave, the oven, the refrigerator. We have paper plates, plastic spoons, plastic fork, plastic knives. We have tablecloths and tables. We have everything we need to open a soup kitchen. And when it comes to our teachers, we spare no expense. We got laminating, high-tech laminating machines. We have die-cut machines. We have poster board scissors, safety scissors. We have glue sticks, and we have various crayons and markers and map pencils, and we have everything we need. I walked into a church one time, and I was early, and it was an elder, and I just asked him, I said, brother, I'd like to ask a question. And I said, I mean no offense by it. I'm just testing a theory. He said, well, go ahead, preacher. I said, where's your evangelism material? He said, I knew you were coming. We were prepared, preacher. He said, you just follow me. So we walked down this long hallway. We're walking, lights are off, and he's turning on lights, and we get to the end of the hallway. He said, preacher, they're in here. And he wiggles the doorknob. It's locked. Don't worry. We had the ring of keys. We brought them out. We must have had 20. We went through all the keys. We finally opened the door. He said, preacher, they're in here. Oh, yes, they're back there in the locker. Of course, it was locked. Don't worry, we had the ring of keys. We brought them out again, and we went through all the keys. We opened up the locker. We pulled out a stack of back to the Bible. He said, preacher, see, we were prepared. I said, brother, I have one question. Why were the materials that the members need to conduct a Bible study locked in a room and locked in a locker? He looked at me, and this is his exact phrase. He said, well, Rob, we were afraid they might get them. But isn't that the point? Don't we want them to get them? We do not hide evangelism materials in the elder's office. We don't lock it away in the church library. Do you know what we do with them? We put them out where people can get them. We place them in highly visible places. We make sure our members have access to them. These aren't top secret documents. These are tools that our members need to have at the palm of their hands. We don't hide them in the coat closet. I had another preacher call me and said, Rob, he said, my spirit's low. I said, David, what's wrong? He said, Rob, he said, after that seminar, I got the evangelism table set up. And I said, yes. He said, Rob, I set it up just like we were, just like we talked about in the elders meeting. And he said, I put all the materials on it, that doesn't matter, back to the Bibles, the illustrations, the bookmarks. And he said, Rob, he said, we got the nice tablecloth. And he said, I went out there the next day and it was gone. I said, David, that's a great problem. The brethren were hungry. They're taking it. He said, oh, no, Rob. He said, Rob, I suspected. So I did it again. I put out the materials and I put out the table and I got everything prepared. And I went out a few days later and it was gone. I said, David, where's it going? He said, I called one of the leaders and I said, brother so-and-so, I want to know where's our evangelism material going? He said, oh, no. David, you the one to put that up there? He said, well, yes. He said, we talked about that. He said, when we built this $3 million facility, he said, we had an agreement as to what goes in the foyer. And now, David, you know that in order to put something in the foyer, we have to have agreement. And one of the ladies saw it, and she said, that is the gaudiest looking thing I've ever seen. It does not match the decor. And she complained, and of course, we don't need complaints at the church. And so we put it in the coat closet. The coat closet. David said, the coat closet. He said, yes, we'll just put it right there, and that way no one would get offended. And so he said, I got in the pulpit on Sunday night, and I'll just tell you, Rob, I preached on the evangelism materials we have just purchased in the coat closet. And I said, brethren, go get them. He said, I explained what is back to the Bible, believe the Bible, doesn't matter. And then I stood outside the coat closet that Sunday evening waiting for the brethren just to rush in and grab them. He said, guess how many brethren went in? 0. Brethren, if we cannot put evangelism materials in our foyers so that the church members can get it, because it doesn't match our decor, I have one suggestion for all of us. We sell the building and go home. We're the Church of Christ. Our mission is to equip and train the saints with evangelism materials so that we can save lost sinners. I said, that's got to be a fluke. That's got to be something I'll never hear again. That year, that happened twice. One church in Alabama and one church in East Tennessee. Number 3, we got to train. We got to train our church members. And I'm not talking about Monday night for the masters. This is not what I'm talking about. Brethren, in order for this to work, I need to be very plain spoken. Gentlemen, in order for this to work, it must be congregational. If this becomes about just 100 people who are interested in saving souls, listen, it will fall apart. If this does not become congregational, you will eventually, it's going to bleed off, the enthusiasm is going to die down, and you're going to go back to what you used to do. In order for a culture change to take place, you've got to do it at the congregational level, not a Monday night level where you have 50 people show up. I'm talking about Sunday morning when you have 411. That's where we begin. And so this is a different approach. So I'm not here to take 25 people and, give you a shot in the arm and train some Navy SEALs. We need SEAL Team 6. I'm all for SEAL Team 6. But we've got to start with the whole church. What do? We train them. We train everybody. Everybody gets trained. Everybody has some skin in the game. Everybody has some accountability. Everybody begins to understand there is one mission in the Church of Christ. There's one. And if you'd ask the average Christian, how many missions do we have? Well, we've got the youth mission, and we've got the VBS mission, and the Bible camp mission, and we've got the prime timer mission, and we got the college mission. And brethren, it's just one mission. If your VBS, if your Bible camp, if your trunk or treat is all about the one mission, there's something wrong. There's one mission. The mission is to save souls. The mission is to make disciples. Jesus was not ambiguous in Matthew 28, verse 19. He was not ambiguous in Mark chapter 16, verse 15. Brethren, he wasn't secretive about Luke 24, 46 through 49. Jesus didn't hide John 20, 21 through 23. He didn't hide Acts 1, verse 8. They're stated plainly for everyone to see. One mission. We need to seek and save the lost. Brethren, we have to train our church members how to do this. Most of our church members are scared to death. They don't believe they can do it. They think this is what the preacher does. Yes, the preacher will do it. And if the preacher isn't doing it, there's a problem. The preacher needs to do it. And I know your preachers do it. I know they do. But it's not enough. If John and Brother Langford and your college and your youth ministers, and if they work from now until the end of the year and all they focus on is evangelism, it's still not enough. Have you seen the size of Murfreesboro? Brother, this is a big town. But even if it wasn't, even if you were out in a smaller town and just had your preacher and a few elders, it's not enough. Evangelism is a congregational work. Go ye does not mean go me. Go ye means go all. I want you to think about that. Ye's plural. Go ye is a plural. That's a plural pronoun. Me is a singular pronoun. And I understand there's a personal responsibility we have, but I want you to rethink that phrase. Go ye means go all. All of us go. All of us are in this. We're all in the fight. Not everybody is a sniper. Not everybody drives a tank. Not everybody flies an F-22. Some of us just peel potatoes. That's all right. We got to eat. But you know, what happens if somebody doesn't get in the kitchen and cook a meal when the army starves? We all have different roles. Accept your role, but you need one. What is your role right now? Well, I sit in the pew on Sunday morning. That's not your role. You see, that's your obligation to God. What's your role? What is it that you do? What's your role with the one mission? See, we need to find our roles. We need to know what they are. How do we do? We train. So if you're at work and something's not working efficiently and effectively, if people aren't seeming to fulfill their end of the bar, this particular area just keeps coming up short. What do you do? Let's just suppose they're good employees. They always show up in time. They've been there a long time. It's not a problem with the people. How do you solve that? Train them. You train them and you keep training them and you keep training them until they understand their mission. Number 4, you got to create an evangelistic culture in your church. You got to promote it. I mean, it's got to be heavy. I mean, I'm not talking about a simple announcement in the bulletin. I'm talking about every single Sunday. It is the centerpiece. It's pushed. What gets pushed gets praised, and what gets praised gets pushed. We all know that. We know that in life. I mean, if you're not pushing it, it's not going to happen. And so you praise the church, you tell them they're doing a good job, you keep pushing it from the pulpit. Congregational evangelism is eldership-led and pulpit-pushed. Someone's got to push it from the pulpit. The preacher obviously is one of those people. He's not the only one. And the elders have to lead it. If you have both of those, if both of those things are firing on all cylinders, you have a potent church. You got to promote an evangelistic atmosphere. Let me give you an example of what that might look like. Let's just take the work of benevolence. I'm going to pull one of our many works of the church. I'm going to pull it right down and put it right in front of you. So is your benevolent work an evangelistic work? So let's just suppose the phone rings, and let's say one of the secretaries, let's say John picks it up and says, "Hello, my name's John. I'm a preacher here for East Main Church Christ. Can I help you?" And they said, yes, I'm looking for somebody, I need some help. Well, what do you need, ma'am? I need some help with my light bill. Can you help me? Yes, ma'am, we can help you. I need some help with my gas bill. No problem, we got it covered. I need some help with my rent. We got it, no problem. I need some help with my mortgage. No problem. What else do you need? Well, I need some food. Hey, we got it covered. Well, what else? I need some clothing. No problem, we got it covered. Do you know I never say no? Whatever it is they ask, I said, we'll help you. I didn't say how much. But I said, we'll help you. The church is here to help. And when they're done giving me their list, all right, now they're excited. Oh, man, I've been waiting for this church. And they said, well, sir, when can you help me? When can I come up there and get my mortgage paid? Well, we do that every Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, and we can't wait to see you. Huh? 9 o'clock? Sir, I don't know if I can get there on Sunday. That's okay. We offer free rides to the church, and we'll be glad to come pick you up, won't we, Steve? And we'll bring you right back to the church. Well, I just don't know that's not a good time for me. That's okay, because on Sunday evening at 6 o'clock, we do the same thing again. Oh, I just don't know. Sundays, that's okay, because we do it on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, and we can't wait to see you. let me just play this out. Let's just, I think I can make Wednesday night. Okay. So they walk into the building Wednesday night, and they say, I'm here to get some help. Brother John said that y'all'd help me. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. John says, hey, Steve, Kathy, come here. Come over here. This is Bob and his wife, Lynn. They needed some benevolent help. Would you take them to room 101 and start back to the Bible? Brethren, if we can't do a Bible study during Bible class, we have serious problems. Well, I don't know if we can do Bible studies during Bible class. We've never done that before, obviously. So why don't we take people who come? In fact, I know a congregation right down in Houston, and the preacher was talking. He said, Rob, do you know what we do with visitors when they walk in? We look for an opportunity to pull them aside and say, hey, could we tell you a little bit more about our church? And we'll have a member, a preacher, an elder, just take them aside, and we start Bible studies during Bible class. I said, that's a brilliant idea. Make your benevolent request evangelistic. Instead of just writing checks and you never see them again, say, hey, come to the building. We can't wait to meet you and see you. And so we need to focus our work for the one mission. So benevolence, edification, evangelism, it's all about the one mission. It's just to make disciples. It's all about seeking the lost. So if you believe your benevolent program is that fulfills the mission, brethren, Jesus said the poor will always be with you. You will not solve world poverty here at East Main. You're not even going to solve Murfreesboro poverty. Our mission is not to feed the poor. Now, I'm not saying don't feed them. Jesus was compassionate, but why did he feed them? So he could solve a deeper problem. You know, it's hard to teach a hungry man. So in Acts chapter 3, when Peter and John heed the lame man's plea, what did they do? They preached. When Jesus fed the 5,000, what did he do? He preached. When Jesus fed the 4,000, what did he do? He preached. When we pay the light bill, we never see him again. So we got to connect them to the mission. So if we're just doing benevolence to do benevolence, if we're just offering community services to offer community services, what difference is there between us and the Lions Club? Brethren, you are not the Goodwill. This is not the local Salvation Army. This is the Church of Christ. Don't forget your mission. Don't forget there's a purpose behind all that. What is? It's one mission. Just one. A lot of churches doing a lot of good work. They have backpack drives, teacher supplies, turkey giveaways, winter coat drives, and vouchers, and blessing boxes. And we even have churches like Willette that built a building just for benevolence. So that's the purpose of the building. And they come Tuesday at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, they start coming in. Till 1 o'clock, they just keep coming in. And I asked one of the deacons, I said, brother, how many contacts did we make today? 101. I said, well, what's their name and address? Oh, we didn't get that. I said, so on an average week, how many people go through? About 100 people a week. How many Bible studies? We haven't had one yet. Have we tried to get a Bible study? Have we tried even to follow up with any of them? And so benevolence becomes a separate work of the church, and we pour a lot of money into it and resources, but yet we're not trying to save souls. What have we accomplished? Very little. But if we connect it to evangelism, this is what we get. Hello? Yes, this is Deb Rice. Yes. Kim's your name? Okay, Kim. Oh, you got house to house, heart to heart. And oh, yes, we do offer free community services. Yes, ma'am. We understand you need some help. We'll be glad to provide it. Well, we offer that on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. Oh, you don't have a ride. Don't worry. We have free transportation to the building. What is your address? We'll pick you up. Okay, we'll have someone there. Deb Rice picks her up. Deb Rice brings her to the church. Hey, Rob, I want to introduce you to this lady. Yeah, this is Kim Bullock. Hey, Kim, my name's Rob, my wife, Nicole. And hey, Deb says, Rob, can you help her? I said, sure. I said, Kim, let's sit together. We got to know Kim, got her the visitor bag, getting her information. And Kim, I said, I understand you need some help, Kim. She said, I do. I said, well, let's go over here to the Dollar General after church and get what you need. And I said, what is it you need? I just need a little food. I said, no problem. Put it in the buggy. Rob, she says, I've got this bathtub and it's real slippery and I fell and I bruised myself. I don't have any money, but I need some type of rubber mat. I said, aisle 6, let's go get them. And we got the rubber mat, we put it in the buggy, we went and checked out, and we walked in Kim's apartment, and it was mold infested. There's mold. You can see it running down the wall. I said, Kim, I said, have you had problems with illness since you moved in? Yeah, I'm always got a cold and I got sore throat. And I said, Kim, I said, you got a mold problem here. I said, who owns this? She said, what's the city? It's government house. I said, we're going to make a phone call. So Monday we made a phone call, and sure enough, they had a new one available. And so Kim says, well, now, Rob, I don't have any family. She said, I don't know. I can't move. I said, we got it covered, Kim. I said, we got men at this church, and we made a general announcement. 4 trailers and trucks pulled up. We loaded her stuff in there, moved her to a new apartment. We're setting everything up. The ladies are setting things up, and Nicole and I are sitting there with Kim, and she's smiling. This is wonderful. Hey, Kim, I got a question for you. What do you think about the Jacksonville Church of Christ? Oh, I love it. She said, the nicest people I've ever met. I said, Kim, do you know a lot about the Jacksonville Church? I don't know much. Kim, would you like to know more about the Jacksonville Church of Christ? I sure would. I just so happen to have these little booklets. I always have the booklets because I have one mission. My mission is not to move Kim Bullock from one apartment to another. That does not help her go to heaven. If you do not do the Bible study, what you have done is you have done a good work, and the Rotary Club is going to give you a blue ribbon, but in the Church of Christ, that's not what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is prospect contacts so that we can do Bible studies. Brethren, cards are not the end of the road. Neither is moving somebody. What do you think Kim did when we finished the studies? She's a faithful Christian today at the Jacksonville Church of Christ. I hope you'll come visit and meet her. I'm going to spend a lot of time here. I'll spend 5 minutes on the last 5 points. I'll spend most of my time right here. Because, brethren, if you don't get this right, nothing else matters. This is it. This is the most important part of evangelism, and it's taken me most of my preaching life to realize that. Brethren, evangelism is about people. And if you sit in your office all day long, you sit in your house and you don't go meet people, you will not achieve success. Doesn't matter if you're a preacher, doesn't matter if you're in management, doesn't matter who you are. You know, if you own a lawn care business and you never meet people, you don't have a lawn care business. How do you develop a lawn care business? Door to door. You go meet people. How do you develop anything in life? Relationships. You got to know people. One of the things we're struggling with right now in our churches is that we are more isolated than we have ever been in my lifetime. We're isolated. And Jesus did not teach that. He taught you to be insulated from sin, but not isolated from the sinner. But we are so isolated from people that we're struggling to reach out to sinners because we don't know them. I mean, literally, think about what's going on right now in our society. Literally, you can go all week and not see a sinner. You can pull up to the Walmart and they'll bring it to spot number 7 and you don't even have to get out of the car. And you can go to the grocery store and you can pull into park number 3 and they bring it and they even put it in your vehicle. You don't even have to say hello. No tips even. You put it on. The tip goes on the app. And then you can go up to the Sonic and hit stall 5 and they bring it to you. Then you can go to the Chick-fil-A and wait for them to bring it to you. Brethren, you never have to even talk to a sinner. And then here's what our Christians tell. Oh, Rob, it's so wonderful just to be surrounded by Christians all the time. I didn't have to see any of those sinful people. And it's so wonderful. Now, how many sinners are you going to reach? 0. 0. We have no contacts. I have churches, and I feel called today. I started early this morning. I literally was answering calls from churches until I left to go to Applebee's with your elders. It was all day long. I took a short break for lunch, and it's one right after another. And elders, Rob, how we're struggling with evangelism, and what can we do? I asked the same question. I wish somehow I could get this message out. But I always ask the same question. Here it is. You ready? How many contacts do you have? Well, what do you mean? I said, I just want to know how many contacts you have. Oh, we had one. We had one on Sunday. You're never going to make it. If Walmart has one contact, they go bankrupt. If the Navy recruiter has one contact, they lose their rank. They're going to replace you. You got to have more than one contact. Well, where do we find them? So we're struggling now in churches just to get contact. We don't have them. So we're not trying to convert you. We need contacts. We need people. So our school, one of the things that we really focus on is helping churches learn how to develop contacts. Now, I'm going to give you just a few. I'm going to hold back my golden ticket for your elders in the meeting tonight. And I think you'll hear about it, very soon. And I mean it's a golden ticket. But I'm going to give you some others. Number one, here it is. Properly use house to house, heart to heart. So I'm sitting on my computer today, and a guy, he sends me an email. And he's angry. I can tell by his email. I mean, he's upset. He's upset. And he's upset because I've used house to house for 2 years, and we've got only one person, and he's going. And so here's what I have to do. I've got to walk you back a little bit. And just like any tool, I got to find out if you know how to use it. Brethren, I know a fishing pole works if you use it right. I mean, I know it works. It's been working for forever. I know things work I know this works. So I got to find out, why isn't it working? Question number one. So I get home at 6 o'clock. I see house to house laying on my table, and I see a phone number. And I said, you know what? I've had a terrible week. My marriage is on the rocks. I don't know what's going on with my teenage son. You know what? When I was growing up, I got to get my family to church. East Main Church of Christ. Let me call that East Main Church of Christ. So I'm going to call the number. What am I going to get? Most of our churches, when you call that number, you get nobody. You don't get a human being. I mean, you know why I know that? Because I try to get churches using those numbers. And I call them. I call them at 1 o'clock, 5 o'clock, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and I can never get them. If you own a business and you put a number out and no one can ever get you, how long do you stay in business? So the basic things like that. So we have to train people, how do you use house to house? Number one, your contact information better be accurate. It better get a human being. It better not get the church office. It's only manned from 8 to 5, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It better get someone that's at 7 o'clock in the evening, they're having a bad day, and someone picks up the phone. The website better work. The email. I email churches. Sometimes I test it. I didn't test this church, but sometimes I do. I'll test the church before I say, my name is Rob Whitacre, test email, just confirm you got it. Week 1, nothing. Week 2, nothing. Week 3, nothing. On week 4, I get a reply. Week 4. So basic things. I'm going to go over this in more detail. I'm trying to help us understand that if you're going to have tools, you must use them correctly. You know that at work. We all know this. Inside, house to house, heart to heart, there are offers that are made, offers for free things. Let me give you an example of what happens when you do it right. I walk into the church building and I look over to the back left-hand side of the auditorium, and there's this lady, and she's sitting in the pew, and I don't know her. I've been gone 3 weeks. So I walked up to Alan Webster, and I said, hey, Alan, do you know who that is? He said, nope. He said, Rob, that's a visitor. I said, yes. So I moved in behind her, and I just sat down. I'm waiting. Closing prayer. She stands up. Hello, my name's Rob. My name's Ellen. I said, well, Ellen, we're glad you're here. Are you visiting this morning? She says, yes, sir, I'm visiting. I said, are you from the community? Just live down the road. I said, well, great. I said, Ellen, did you enjoy the service? I did. She said, I like your preacher. I said, what do you like about him? He loves the Bible. I said, he loves the Bible. We love the Bible here, Ellen. And I said, well, Ellen, I said, we're really glad you're here. I said, Ellen, are you by yourself? No. Well, my husband got sick on the way. I had to take him back home. But do you have a Sunday evening service? I said, we just so happen to have one. I said, yes, 6 o'clock. She said, you know what? I'm going to bring him back. I said, you know what? I'd love for you to meet my wife. She's visiting her mom this morning, and she'll be back tonight. Hello? Yes, honey? Honey, I need you to come home now. But I was going to spend 2 days up here. No, honey, I need you now. I said, we've got a Bible study. It's just we're this close. And Nicole knows when I say that. So she comes on back. She comes on back home, and Sunday night we're saying, here comes Ellen. I'm sure glad she came. She walks in the back of the pew and sat down, and next to her is her husband. So we walked over there, and I said, Ellen's my wife, Nicole. And she said, well, hello. And Nicole said, hey, Ellen. And this is my husband, Perry. Perry, nice to meet you. My name's Rob. And we're just talking, and just finding out a little bit more about, hey, Perry, do you like to eat? He says, yes. I said, what's your favorite restaurant in Jacksonville? Well, I like Athena's. Can't go very often, kind of pricey. I said, yeah. I said, our guest, let's go to Athena's tonight. Really? I said, sure. Well, let's just go. He said, my stomach's feeling a little woozy. I said, can I take a green check on that? I said, you just tell me what day my treat, Athena's. He said, man, I won't miss Athena's. So sure enough, we make the appointment. We show up at Athena's. There they are. We sit around the table. I could care less about the lasagna. I have one mission. I always have one mission. So we sit around the table, and I'm looking for a sweet spot. I said, hey, Perry, what do you think of? What do you like to do? You like to watch sports? Yeah. I said, wait, it's NFL football? A bunch of thugs. I don't watch that anymore. I said, me neither. Disrespectful. And so I said, no, none of that. And he said, I said, what do you like? He says, I like baseball. I said, it's just not the same. I said, no, it's not. I said, well, what do you like? And he said, oh, Rob, he said, go Alabama. I said, no. Go Alabama. If I've got to like Alabama football to get a Bible study, so be it. I don't care. I don't care who it is. And I said, Nick Saban's a good coach. He said, yeah, man. He said, Nick Saban, And I said, man, Perry, you've had a terrible year this year. He said, I know. We didn't make the championship. It was about a year and a half ago. It was Clemson and LSU. Alabama didn't make it. That's a bad year. And so I said, Perry, I said, you know what? Tomorrow is the championship game with LSU and Clemson. It is. You're going to watch it? Oh, yes. Perry, do you know when we moved into our house, someone built a theater room in it? It's got like 9 speakers, subwoofer, big screen. I said, how would you like to come over? We just so happen to be having a football party tomorrow. What was that? Was my wife kicking me? She didn't know about it. And I said, we're having a football party tomorrow. We have, we're going to wrap the hot dogs with pigs in a blanket. And we're going to have the sausage balls. We're going to have the chips and dip and all the cheese trays. And I said, why don't y'all come over and watch it with us? Really? He said, honey, can I come over to the Whitacre house? I thought I was in 5th grade. It was wonderful. And she says, yeah, we'll come over. And so they come over, and Nicole says, what party? I said, well, I'll help you, honey. We'll work together. So we got everything ready, and they came into the house. They sat down. We're talking, watching Clemson is getting blown away by LSU. LSU's like a professional football team. And so it's halftime. And click it down, Hey, Perry, got a question for you. What do you want? I'm curious. There are like 10 different churches in Jacksonville. Why'd you come to Jacksonville Church of Christ? Oh, 21 years ago, Rob, y'all sent us this publication called House to House, Heart to Heart. He said, I love it. He said, it's all about the Bible. He said, Rob, our church doesn't follow the Bible anymore. I said, I'm sorry, Perry, what's wrong? He says, they don't follow the Bible on marriage. I said, yeah. I said, there's a lot of them. And he said, we're looking for a church that follows the Bible. I said, Perry, I just so happen to have these little booklets, and I've got them right here. I said, well, would you like to know more about the Jacksonville Church of Christ? He said, I really would. I said, why don't we make an appointment? Guess what happened 3 weeks later? They're some of the most faithful Christians we have. We baptized him, his wife, his son, his daughter-in-law, now the son, the grandson. It's great being raised into the Lord's church. Why? Because they got house to house, heart to heart. Because they knew there was a church in their area. If you do not promote your church in your local area, they're not coming. They have to know you're here. You have to have a presence. Everybody knows that in the business community. If they do not know your car wash is there, if they don't know your service, whatever business is there, if the community does not know that you offer something, they're not coming. You have to use every resource available to make sure people know you're here. On the backside, we promote events. Do you know 9 out of the 10 churches in house to house, heart to heart do not promote their events? We put filler in the back page because they don't do it. They put nothing back there. On the inside, we make free offers. Hey, fill this out and we'll send you a free post. We'll send you a free poster board of the 10 Commandments. Fill this out. We'll send you whatever you want. Marriage materials, we'll send it. Correspondence courses, we'll send it. And she filled it out. Brenda, I need marriage material. And hello. Yes, Deb? Yes. No, we don't mail things anymore. But Rob, we've always mailed them. I said, I know. That's why we don't baptize. I said, I need you to put it in my box. But Rob, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to make a personal visit. Okay, I'll put it in the box. So she puts it in the box. We've never done this before. I said, I know. I said, but just watch what will happen. So Nicole and I showed up. We grabbed the marriage material, grabbed the address. We're looking for Brenda's address, knock on the door. I stand back, make sure my wife is visible. I never go to the door without a woman or a child, ever. 2 reasons. One is ethical. Number 2 is effectiveness. 2 reasons I always try to have a woman or a child with me. And so she opens the door. Hello. And I said, ma'am, my name's Rob, my wife Nicole, and we're from house to house. Oh, yes. And you requested marriage. Oh, I did. Ma'am, have you just got married? I did. I did about a month ago. I said, well, congratulations, Brenda. And I said, we're so glad that we're so glad that you requested. And she said, well, sir, she says, why didn't you mail this stuff to me? I said, well, we wanted to meet you in person. She said, well, that's really nice. Take time out of your day. I said, yes. I said, well, Brenda, when did you move here? Well, about a month ago. And I said, well, wonderful. And I said, Brenda, she said, well, wait, sir. She said, I got another question for you. I said, what do you got? She said, do you have a church here you go to? I said, yes, the Jacksonville Church of Christ, right across the street from Jacksonville State University. We're right. Oh, yeah, she said, sir, I got another question for you. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, do you know anything about the Bible? Oh, just a little bit. And she said, good, because my husband knows nothing about the Bible. Jackson, get in here. That man's been on the couch ever since he came home. I don't know what he does all day. Get over here. These people have come to see you. So he gets off the couch. I'm watching him. He gets off the couch. He's doing this here. He comes up and he walks over to the door. He's doing this, You can tell he's worked all day long. And she says, we are going to teach you the Bible. You could have blown me over. And I said, ma'am, when would you like to begin? She says, what about tomorrow? I said, sounds good to me. Nicole will make chocolate chip cookies. Always eat. And we sat down. Guess how long it took? We baptized her. We baptized him. We baptized her brother. We baptized her sister. We baptized her cousin. We baptized her cousin's daughter. And we just kept baptizing. What happens if we would have mailed it? You need a target list. Brethren, you got to put everybody on the target list. So you can send out house to house, heart to heart digitally. I mean, it's free. So if they're not in your target area, that is the mailing area, everybody should be signed up. Every visitor that comes in should be put on the list. Everybody you meet, people you know, friends, you ought to make a massive target list. And so this is free. We'll mail a digital copy, email a digital copy to everyone on the list you make. We make a target list. And then we're going to do an annual door knocking day. Now this is October 8th. And y'all have heard about the annual door knocking day. Every year we do the annual door knocking day, we have baptisms. On the day we door knock, which is not what we expect. We expect it to take weeks to get there. And so this is going to be actually the third annual door knocking day. And what do? We give you have materials, training, videos. Brother, in our school, we have actually videoed what you do at the door. Can I show you what you don't do? This is what you don't do. My name's Rob, my wife Nicole, and we're having a gospel meeting with Glenn Colley. We'd like to have you come. How effective is that? How many people come? My name's Rob. This is my wife Nicole. We got John DeBerry coming. We love you. He was a state assemblyman. He works for the governor now. I mean, he is a great speaker. We can't wait to see you. How many are coming? They don't care. You're not coming. Now, what if you did this? My name's Rob. This is my wife, Nicole. That's a great American flag you got on the house. I love the patriotism. We need more patriotism in our country. And man, you're right. I said, I noticed your neighbor has one. Yeah, that's my friend over there. And I said, man, I love my country. I do too. And sir, we got an inflation problem in this country. I said, we do. And have you seen the price of eggs and gas? And I said, man, our country's struggling right now. And have you ever seen it like this before? And I've never seen it like this before in my life. And I said, what do you think the problem is right now in our country? And let him talk, whatever it is. We're not going to have a political conversation. Don't go there. And so just whatever it is, let him get it out. And have I even introduced myself yet? Do they know why I'm there? Because if you have a 3 to 5 minute conversation at the door, do you know what your odds of success do? They go from about 1% to 35. I didn't make that number up. I have numbers to prove it. For 2 years, I've kept door knocking numbers. I've done 4 campaigns in this nation. The first campaign we did in Rome, Georgia, we had a 35% success rate doing that. Then we did another campaign, we had a 33% success rate. Then we did another campaign, we had a 31% success rate. Then we did another one, we had a 36% success rate. You know what success is at door knocking? We don't even know what success is. Oh, that's a baptism. That's not success. Did you propose to your wife on the first date? I doubt it. So you know what success is? You get a second date. That's success. You take a girl out and they want you to take them out again. Do you consider that success? You've made some progress. So what do I want? I want their name. I want their address, which I already have. And I want their phone. I want email, a phone number, something. I want them to want me to come back. 35% of the time, I achieve that at the door. And I have videos to train you how to do that. We got materials to help you get there. I don't have time to go over it all. What I'm trying to suggest is that this is how you get contacts. This is one way you do it. It's not the only way. Some of you don't want to do it. That's okay. Not everybody's got to fly the F-22. So some of you need to drive the tank. That's all right. But we need somebody doing this. We need a group of people. And this church who are willing to go out into their community. So we're at Carnes Church of Christ 1 month ago at Carnes, Knoxville. Everybody know where that's at? Steve Higginbotham. This is a church like you guys. 400 members, within 5 miles of the church. In 3 days, we make 377 contacts. Let me repeat that. 377 contacts. When we left that church, those elders looked at us and they said, how in the world are we ever going to take care of 377 people? You know what I was told when I got there? This won't work. No one's interested. Can't get anybody. No one's going to want 377 contacts. They've had 10 baptisms in 30 days. Knoxville. You know where Carnes is? Upper middle class. They're not interested there. Everybody's picked their religion. Won't work. John 4:35. Anyone want to quote it for me? Anybody? Jesus said what? Lift up your eyes. Then what'd he say? Look on the fields. And then what'd he say? For they are white unto harvest. Do you think they're white in Murfreesboro? I wouldn't disagree with the Lord. I'd be very careful. Because what the Lord said is right. He's always right. Let God be true and every man a liar. I trust the greatest evangelist in the world to be right. Let me give you another one. This right here is called New Movers, and it takes work. You got to do it right again. There's a process you got to follow, and we're going to give you training material on how to do this. I'm excited that you guys have already got your feet wet. We're just going to refine what you're doing. Every week, just about, in our Reaching the Lost reports, we get a baptism as a result of this right here. Now, I didn't say it wasn't challenging, but when people move into a new home, that's an opportunity. This is an opportunity. Now, we've learned things that work and don't work. Let me give you some things that don't work. Just give you one. This does not work. All right. Hey, my name's Rob, my wife Nicole, and you are Bob Smith. Bob Smith. We understand Bob Smith. Bob, you've just moved into the community. How'd you know my name is Bob Smith? Now, how many of you had that happen? How many of you gone to the door and the first thing they want to know is, how'd you know my name? Anybody have that happen to them? Because we get that a lot. Don't do that. Do not call them by their first. I know we have that information, and it's all legal. Believe you me, when you move, Lowe's will know exactly where you moved, and they will be the first to offer you 10% off. And Home Depot will offer you 15% off the very next day. They know your name. It's legal. But when you go up to the door, we get the same information. We buy it. We go up to the door and we identify them by name. People are skeptical, right? You're here to rob me. You're here to trick me. You're here to rob, you're here to some con routine. Get out of my way. So when I go to the door, I don't do that. I do the same thing I do all the time. Hey, my name's Rob. Hey, I know you got a lot of toys in your yard. I bet you got grandchildren. Oh, yeah, how many grandchildren you got? I got, what are their names? Oh, let me show you their pictures. Oh, I love to look at pictures of grandchildren. Then I go to the door and a dog starts barking and it's at the, come in. I said, oh, that's a cute little dog. Is that one of those miniature something or others, Yes, it is. Oh, how long have you had the dog? Oh, I love my dog. And I said, hey, what kind of food do you feed your dog? Oh, I use a special scientific blend. Now, let me tell you about where you get it. They don't even know my name yet. I make conversation with people. When Jesus, in John chapter 4, walked up to the well, when all this woman wanted to talk about was racial division, that's all she wanted to talk about. What did Jesus talk about? Could you give me a drink of water? That's all he wanted to ask. When I go up to the door, sometimes I'll ask that, could you get a drink of water? Oh yeah, I got some bottled water right here. In fact, sometimes when we're walking, they'll bring it to you. We've had cars just pull up and, here, you need some water. New movers, we got to train you how to do it. All right, now let's go to this one, David Shannon. People are most likely to change churches when they move. A couple of generations ago, if a family or an individual moved from one city or another city, they usually stayed with that same denomination. Those days are over. It doesn't matter to me what denomination you attended in the last town. The average person today is willing to look at any church in their neighborhood. This is a powerful opportunity for evangelism. I don't care what church they attended in the last town. I want them to be a part of the Church of Christ because it gives us the best opportunity to sit down and study the Word of God. We have to learn how to do this. We need to put a group together and we need to train them. We don't just send them out after a 5-minute pep talk. We train them what to say and how to do it. Here's the next one, cards. When this is done correctly, it is powerful when done correctly. Brethren, this has got to be a congregational work. This is not time to gather 50 people together to do it. Guess how many people need to be doing cards at East Main? Guess how many? 411. Everybody needs to be involved in this. There's no reason why the members of this church cannot write. You need to write a card. You need to write a card. Your 11-year-old needs to write a card. Your 8-year-old needs to color a crayon card. Your 90-year-olds need to write cards. No one gets COVID because of cards. We all can do cards. It's one of the most effective, compassionate prospecting tools we've got. We don't want them to get one card with 20 signatures. Brother, we need them to get 20 cards. And do you know what happens when you do this right? You know what happens when you get the church involved in this? When that person comes forward and that 90-year-old is sent a card and that 11-year-old is sent a card and they're baptized, do you know what that does to the morale of the church? Yes, not everybody's going to lead a Bible study. I get that. Not everybody's going to do door knocking. I understand that. Not everybody's going to get involved in the benevolent work, and you can't. But you know, everybody can send a card. Everybody goes to basic training. Everybody gets a rifle. Everybody gets a canteen. Everybody gets the rations, the boots, the socks. Sometimes there are some things that everybody does. We've got to find those areas to involve the whole church. Her name's Bettina. When we walked into her apartment, she had cards all over the place. And we're just getting to know Bettina. And we're taking food to her. I can still remember that old chair she was sitting in. That's her new chair. It was broken down, didn't have a back on it. And she's on oxygen, you know. And she's humped over like this. I said, Bettina, that chair is broken. I know. She said, I can't go get another one. I said, I'll tell you what, Nicole and Hannah will visit. I'll be right back. I just got in my car, and Jared and I took off, went to the Big Lots. You know Big Lots sells furniture? I didn't know that. Nicole told me. She said, go to Big Lots. So I got the Big Lots, and we got our chair. She said, what's this? I said, it's your new chair. What I paid for? I said, didn't ask for that. Just said, you could take your chair. And she slept in it. She slept in it every night. She never went back to her bedroom. She loves her chair. And so now she has no problems breathing. And so members of the church are just flood. She's going to church. They're flooding her with cards. You see her holding them? Do you think they made a difference? And we're just sitting there talking. Bettina, I got a question. Guess what I'm going to ask? Anybody? You know what I'm going to ask? What do you think about the Jacksonville Church of Christ? What do you think she said? Anybody? Love it. Love it. Meanest people I've ever met. No. I love this church. Bettina, do you know a lot about the Jacksonville Church of Christ? Not a lot. Bettina, would you like to know more about the Jacksonville Church of Christ? Yes. What do you think I'm going to say? Anybody? Everybody? What am I going to say? I just so happen to have these little booklets. What's going to happen when we finish with the studies? Somebody called me today, this same person who was upset. He writes me back after I tell him about how to use house to house. He says, I want numbers. He said, I don't want your sales pitch. This is what he told me. I said, okay. So I wrote back, I said, here are the 17 people we baptized at Jacksonville last year using house to house, heart to heart, and I listed them by name. I'm a result-oriented person, and I hope you are too. I'm not here to waste your time. Brother, this works. If you do this stuff, it works. This is what you get. We finished the study with Bettina, and we're taking her to the baptistry. There's no question of what was going to happen. Brother, I baptized Bettina the first day I met her, right here. Some of you lose the battle here, and that's why you never get them to the baptistry. I baptize everybody I meet here. When I meet you, I'm looking for a way to get you to the baptistry. I will get you there. It's just a matter of time before I get you there. It may take me 10 years, like Bruce Bartley. I'll get you there. You can't convert Bruce Bartley, Rob. His dad's a Baptist preacher. Oh, we'll do it. Just give me time. May take me 10 years, but I'll get to him. It's hard to say no to God. Eventually, God will wear you down. I'm very persistent. I never give up. I'm very intentional about it. I'll get the big buck. I might not get it the first year, but I will get it. When I put my mind on something, I will achieve. How many of you believe that? How many of you believe that if you put your mind to something and you work hard, you can achieve it? Anybody in this room believe like that? Why don't we believe like that here? Gentlemen, it is time for the men of the Church of Christ to stand and be counted. We need men to stand and rise in the church. And we need you to fight as hard for God as you do for everything else. Harder. You are a soldier in the army of Christ. We need to learn how to treat visitors. They're your number one contact. They're called hot contacts. They sit in your pews. We need a strategy of what to do when they walk in the door. And we're going to give you that strategy, and it's a guarantee. I will guarantee if you'll follow the strategy that we're going to give you, it will produce. You have to have a gift. You have to have 6 or 8 families trained on what to do. Guess what the one thing you shouldn't do when visitors walk in the church building? What's the one thing they don't want? They do not want Gabby Gossip gathering around the foyer, giving them Bible trivia questions. Where are you from? You married? Divorced? How many children? Let me tell you about this. No, we don't need Mr. Grumpy greeting them at the door. We need Mr. Smiley to escort them into the auditorium. And then we need, maybe Sam and Lori to sit next to him. Hey, are you visiting today? Yeah. Well, my name's Sam. My wife, Lori. We've been members here for how long, Sam? Okay, how long? 20 years. Oh, nice. Where y'all live? We just live down the road over here about 5 miles. Oh, wonderful. Well, man, we're glad you're, my wife's got something she wants to give you. We're going to give her a visitor back. And we're just going to talk. Hey, by the way, we're a card-sending church. Could we get your contact information? And we're going to write it down. You know what the number one thing a visitor wants when they walk in a church building? Number one, Pew Research Center. They did it. They did the study. They asked the questions. What's the number one thing a visitor wants when you walk in? Here's what it is. Now, it's not what you think. Because they want a warm, friendly greeting. It's not. They want to know where the bathroom. No. You know what the number one, what is it, Brad? What's the number one thing a visitor wants? Sit down. They want to take a seat. I walked into your church building. That's not easy to do. I got lost. So your greeters have got to take them into the auditorium and sit down. That's what a greeter does. Take them in, sit down. Just sit down. Now what is your next job? Get contact information. Now what's your next job? Sam looks at, hey, my wife and I just happen to be going out to eat. What's your favorite food? I like steak, so do I. I like seafood, so do I. Whatever they, hey, would you like to go to Red Lobster? Want to go to Longhorn? It's our treat. How many of you at work ever go on lunch meals? Anybody here ever go on a lunch meal at work? Why do you do that? Why? Why do you do lunch meals? Yes, fellowship. Do you ever get anything done at a lunch meal? Probably more than a board meeting. Dale Harris is a top pharmaceutical rep in the Southeast United States. He's the top salesman almost every year. And Dale, every year, Dale and Sherry Harris, great people, they go on boondoggles. You know what a boondoggle is, don't you? That means they send them to Australia, Hawaii, good job, Dale, you sold $1 million, I said, Dale, I'm sitting there with him. Dale, how is it that you're always the top pharmaceutical rep in the Southeast for McKinsey? I think that's the name, McKinsey. Well, Rob, I'll tell you. He says, I take him out to eat. You don't try to sell a doctor pharmaceuticals at the, have you seen what a doctor's office looks like? You're not going to get their attention. You take him out to eat. He said, and I can take him out to eat and I'll sell everything I got. I said, that's all you do? Yeah. And don't talk about medicine. Talk about hunting, fishing, outdoors, football. Talk about anything but, and at the end, hey, what is it you wanted to sell me? I'll just tell my secretary, she'll write it up. He's the top pharmacist. So I'm with another, I'm reading an article, and I read the top dealership in the United States. They're the top dealership every year. And I think this was in Consumer Reports or one of those economic magazines. And here's the question. How are you always the top dealership in the United States? This is the answer. One word, cards. Then he goes on and explains. He said, we have a team of about 8 ladies in the back room. All they do is write cards all day long. Personal cards. How is it that Ford Motor Company understands that and we don't? How is it that McKinsey gets it and we don't? The same thing works here. We just have to do it. Cameron and Lindsay, they sit down, and I got to tell you the story. This is too good. So I've been gone 4 weeks, and this couple, they're sitting right back here where you are, sir, right here. All right. So I said, yes. So Keith Ritchie's our new preacher. The reason I remember this is Keith Ritchie's first Sunday as our new preacher. Alan has stepped down. He's now doing full-time instructor work, school preaching, polishing the pulpit, house to house. He's got enough on his plate. So Keith, man, hey, Eric, who's that back there? Oh, Rob, they've been visiting the last 2 Sundays. I said, man, it's great, Eric. Have we done the visitor bag? Oh, I don't know. I said, that's okay. My blood pressure went up 10 points. It's okay. We'll go to the next person. Hey, who's that right there? And they said, oh, Rob, that's a visitor. Yes, have we introduced ourselves? Who are, do we got the contact card? Oh, well, why don't we have the contact card? Well, Rob, we were waiting for you. Now my blood pressure has gone up 20 points. All right, I said, this is not good. So I just grabbed it. At this time, I'm visibly probably upset. I grabbed the visitor bag. I just walked up. I said, sir, my name's Rob. Oh, Cameron. My wife, Lindsay, my little girl. And I said, okay. I said, hey, glad you're here. Y'all visit? Yeah, well, we've been here a couple weeks. Haven't seen you before. I said, I've been out of town. I said, you guys live locally? Yeah. I said, we got a gift for you guys. Oh, that's nice. And by the way, we're a card-sending church. I'd like to send you some cards. Well, sure. I said, can I get your information? Yeah, I got you. So I write down the information. My wife, we're sitting with them, talking to them. I just kind of move out. And, hey, Keith, right there, visitor. Keith doesn't know a member from a visitor. First Sunday. And he said, Keith's been through our school twice. You can go through our school personally and graduate. He's done it twice. And so Keith looks up there, and he said, Rob, I know what to do. Give me the card. He walks up to him, spends 5 minutes talking after services. They're out to eat. That same afternoon, he calls me. He says, oh, by the way, Bible study set up Tuesday, 3 o'clock. 3 weeks later, guess what happens to both of them? You can do that. Very intentional, very focused. We did that 4 times last year. I think 4 of our baptisms were a direct result of that. Taking people out to eat, visitors. Let me try to run through these. Digital media will give you all the. I'm going to load you up. You digital guys up there, I'm going to load you up with evangelistic digital resources, ways to push traffic to the church, and got some great ideas. Community events that are evangelistically focused. So we've got some really good stuff to give you on how to make a community event evangelistically focused. Now watch this. Let's go to the next one here. That's what I'm trying to get to. All right, everybody see that diagram? So let me read it for you. So we're going to focus on every non-Christian in our pew. Y'all have any non-Christians in the pews regularly? Okay, we're going to focus on them. And we're going to focus on compassion cards properly. We're going to focus on visitors and door knocking and house to house, heart to heart, and new movers and gospel broadcasting network and digital media and benevolence and new movers. And we're going to make everything revolve around the one mission. By the way, what is that? To this intent that now unto principalities and powers in heavenly places, it might be made known by the church the manifold wisdom of God. It is the purpose of the church to make known to the world the manifold wisdom of God. That's our purpose. I think we've lost our way. That's the average congregation in our school. That's just average. You're way above average here. I expect far better. You're not the average church. I say that respectfully. You have great potential here. Don't settle. You got to populate a contact list, number 6. What happens when you do that? You baptize. 21 baptisms. You got to learn how to do it, and I'm going to teach you. That's what their elder right in the middle. He spoke this year at Polishing the Pulpit. His name is Garth. If y'all have PTP 365, look for Garth under elders. Listen to his lesson. Listen to him. There's a model church in our school. Number 7, get everyone participating. This is not optional. You've got to get your army working together. For the body is not one member, but many. Number 8, you got to prioritize evangelism in every elders meeting. Before you talk about the carpet, remodeling your foyer, putting new blacktop on your asphalt, fixing your roof, fixing the chair, whatever it is, we need to talk about souls. And in fact, I'd encourage you to have a whiteboard, and you should have every person that you know that's not a member of the church, every spouse, every child, every regular visitor, write their name and talk about them and pray about them every time you meet. Number 9, publicize your mission from the pulpit. Publicize the mission. Don't keep it a secret. And lastly, pray about evangelism. New Union, Paul Folk said, Rob, the first thing I noticed when you left was on Sunday morning, every man who walked into the pulpit prayed about evangelism. I've never heard that in all my years of being an elder. He said every Sunday night and Wednesday night, every man that walks in the pulpit prays for souls to be saved. To God be the glory. Brethren, thank you for being a part of this seminar, and I hope in some way that we have motivated and helped you to draw closer to the cross. We've got a lot of work to do, and I'm looking forward to speaking to your leadership here just in a few minutes. And to God be the glory. And I leave you with the words of the Apostle Paul. I commend you to God and to the word of his grace, was able to build you up and to give you an inheritance among all them that are sanctified. May God bless the East Main Church of Christ. Thank you.
And then everyone who would like to attend the meeting, who's elder, preacher, or a leader in anything that he's been talking about, we will meet downstairs in the card room. Let's pray. Father God, we stand before you now with humility, and the thing that's on my mind is the fact that the only reason any of us now can approach your throne, ask for forgiveness, and receive it is not only because of your love and grace manifested in your Son's sacrifice. It's also because someone in our lives, each one of our lives, cared enough about our soul to bring us to Christ. And Father, the only thing that we are asking for now is the same love for souls that you have, the same love for souls that your Son has, the same love for souls that Rob has, and so many others. We are asking for that to permeate in our hearts and to never leave it, but to grow instead. And we are asking for wisdom, we're asking for courage, and we're asking for zeal. We thank you for Rob and the work that he has done and continues to do for your kingdom. And we thank you for bringing him to us this week so that in many ways you have answered what we are asking for. Continue to answer it. Continue to help us in the areas we need to repent of, to change, to grow, to start in bringing souls to you, and doing so even more than we already have been. Help us to remember that this is our mission, and everything revolves around it. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.